let's talk about people not wanting to move from the city that they grew up in. All right.
That's interesting.
Were you ever one of those people? Were you ever one of those people that was like, I'm never moving away out of Cali? Or were you like, I can't wait to go to college to get out of Cali?
I moved around a lot as a kid. So for me, moving was just natural. I moved back and forth from coast to coast. For those that don't know, I was born in LA, but I grew up in Jersey.
Yeah, hold up. Whoop. Yup. Okay. Yup. Right. Yup. Whoop. Give them your run. You got to get them the rundown.
So I was born.
You know what I'm saying? Get them.
So I was
them
born.
The rundown.
Yeah, I was born in Inglewood, Centinela Hospital.
Whoop.
Yeah,
You gotta say whoop. She say whoop with everything because she's from Cali. So.
But I was born at Centinela Hospital in Inglewood in '83, and my whole life I've always moved back and forth. My dad is from LA. My mom is from New Jersey. My mom is from Jersey City, New Jersey. So we've always lived back and forth, meaning she would stay in LA for a couple years, 2-3 years. She'll go to Jersey for a year, come back to LA. So for me, it was natural to move around a lot. I never was one of those people that was like, okay, I have to have a house where I grew up at, because home was multiple places for me. You know, I lived in so many different places, from Inglewood to the Jungle to Watts to Jersey City, North, Irvington.
Now, I'm pretty
like
sure
I
you
lived
know Watts,
Brooklyn. Like I lived everywhere.
My first introduction to Watts was Tyrese, right? Tyrese album. I was like, oh, Watts is crazy. He was watched out. But she said she used to live in the jungle.
I did during the riots. Yes.
Now I'm from Harlem, right? So if you from Harlem and you don't really know when she say like that place,
that place,
jungle, you know what I'm saying? When she
Jungles,
say that,
I lived on August and Nicolette on the corner. There's a building on the corner.
If you don't know what she's talking about, it's
so,
foreign language to you.
Yeah.
But when I first got serious with her and she explained that to me, I'm like, damn, you used to live out there? And then when she told me the era that she lived there in, I had a whole new respect for her, man.
So for me, I lived so many different places. I wasn't attached to one particular place. I think at different points in my life, I wanted to live different places. There was a time, like when I got out of high school, because I did the first 3 years of high school in New Jersey, and then I moved back to LA when I was a senior. I was itching to get back. I wanted to get back to the East Coast. All my friends were there. I had did most of my teenage years there. I just wanted to get back. So at that point, I wanted to move back. And I thought New York was the place to be, because in the 90s, New York was like the place to be.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be
Shout
on radio.
to New York. Yeah.
New York City was the place to be. But then once I got older, I was eager to come back. So it's like, for me, it was different points in my life. I wanted to live different places. For you, did you always want to live in New York City? He grew up in New York City his whole life.
I grew up in New York City my whole life,
from mine.
born and raised Harlem, New York City. Wash Heights, east side of Harlem, west side of Harlem, uptown,
for people that have never been to Harlem, this is the place where Paid in Full was.
Yeah,
Paid in Full. Great Apollo Theater is.
Kim.
They make the chopped cheese.
Dipset, chopped cheese, ASAP
Tiana Taylor's from
Tiana
there. So just a point of
Big L.
What's the name of the restaurant?
My man Dave East, my man Vado. You know what I'm saying? We out here.
What's the name of the restaurant where
Shout out to everybody from Harlem, because I could have kept going, but I don't want
Tiana
to be like,
Taylor.
yo, my nigga Millz ain't shout me out on the podcast. Shout out to all my Harlem rappers, spitters, celebrities, fashion designers, all that.
Yes.
Grinnies. Shout out to Grinnies. Shout out to the Dirty Kitch.
I'm just painting
Shout out to all
pictures of different places in Harlem that people see now on the gram.
I really love Harlem, man. I
live in California,
but I really love Harlem.
Did you want to live there forever, though?
No, I'm gonna tell you, son. This is real.
And the reason why I'm shouting those places out is because you can find those places now on the gram. So that's why I'm painting a picture for people that don't know.
When I was growing up, there was two places that I saw on TV that I always wanted to go. Right,
we were cable kids. We were like Journey.
I wanted to. I thought Miami Vice. I thought that show was fake. I thought. I knew TV wasn't real. I knew what TV shows were. Fake. I thought that was like a set. I thought that was
know that was like a real street.
I didn't know that's really what Miami looked like. I didn't know like the Pelicans was there and they drove Lamborghinis and Maseratis and Testarossas and they wore Rolexes and they rolled their sleeves up with crew neck t-shirts under. I thought everybody wore suits and ties. I didn't know they wore loafers. That was really like a show to me. So once I got older and I realized, I wanted to always move to Miami. And I always wanted to go, don't laugh at me. I always wanted to go to Hillman College.
I mean, I think we all did at some point.
I always no. Let me be real. Let me explain.
No, we all thought Hillman was real at one time.
I wanted to go to Hillman probably until I was in high school.
Because everybody thought it was real.
Yeah, I thought Hillman was real.
But let me ask you this. So there was no other part of New York that you wanted to move to?
No, shout out to all 5 boroughs. I never wanted...
Manhattan or...
Listen. Linda. Listen, Linda. I never in my life wanted to live in any other borough or any other place in New York. Honestly.
Okay. All right.
I always wanted to, as a rapper in New York.
You wanted to move to Jersey
Harlem,
at some point.
You get your money, you always want to get a nice little place across the bridge in Jersey. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay. If you know any rapper or celebrity from New York City, they'll tell you when they get their check, the first thing they doing, majority of us, we would go over to Jersey. That's better living than being on the block. Okay,
so that's equivalent to LA people moving to the Valley.
Yeah, so we would we would do things like that. I never wanted to live in another borough. I always wanted to live like in Jersey.
So people that don't know too much about New York, the boroughs set trip.
Oh yeah, it's different. Different. I lived in the Bronx though. I never wanted to, but I ended up living in the Bronx at one time.
Yeah, but the boroughs like set trip. You like Brooklyn is Brooklyn, Harlem is Harlem, Queens is Queens. Yeah. They set trip. You can't.
Yeah, if I didn't have to live in the Bronx when I was living in the Bronx at that time, I wouldn't have just moved up there. Okay. But I was living there at one time. I never lived in Brooklyn, never lived in Queens. Staten Island was like, oh yeah, the ferry. Nah, shout out to Staten Island, but nah. Yeah, Washington Heights. Nah, I was born in Washington Heights, and I was kind of like born and raised Harlem, like uptown, downtown, East Harlem, West Harlem. I lived a bunch of different places in Harlem, but I was never that kid that was like, oh, I want to move out to Long Island, or I want to move like downtown Brooklyn. You know, when they started building up all the. Nothing personal.
There was a time when I wanted to live in Manhattan. I lived in Brooklyn for a while, but I wanted to live in Manhattan. I thought that was just the place to be. Like, judging by the way the 90s were for New York, the music, the fashion, it just seemed like that was just the place to be during that time. And then there was a time when I wanted to move to Atlanta, and that was shortly lived.
Oh, yes. You know what? There was a time where I wanted to move to Atlanta.
In the early 2000s.
Yes, when I first got with Lil Wayne, there was a time where I was going to move to Atlanta.
Yeah, I was like, Atlanta's kind of cool. I wouldn't mind.
Because it felt like that's where everybody was at that time. And when I first got with Wayne, shout out to Young Money, shout out to everybody at Young Money, man. Yeah. When I first got with Young Money, that's kind of like, that was like the home before Miami was the home. He had cribs in Miami, but...
And you guys used to be down there a lot.
Like Dedication, what was it? Dedication 2 or 3? I think it was 3. Dedication 3.
So you was shaking down there.
A lot of Carter 2. I didn't say anything about it. Why are you bringing that up?
Because I wanted to know, was that made in Atlanta?
You're putting me on the spot. You're trying to make me bring up stories of filth.
I wasn't. I was just going to ask you, was that recorded in Atlanta? You went to a whole nother place.
Yes.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, that was definitely recorded out there in Atlanta. Okay. Yeah, but that was around the time I was going to move out there too. I wanted to move to Atlanta. Okay. I did. We used to be out there.
I did too, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, shout out to Atlanta, shout out to Miami, shout out to all the 5 boroughs. I don't want y'all to feel like I was trying to, go crazy on the 5 boroughs. Shout out to all y'all. But I always wanted to live like in Miami and go to college in Atlanta. That's probably where the Atlanta thing of moving there possibly when I was first got with Young Money, because it just reminded me like, damn, I kind of wanted to already come here to go to school. Like, I wanted to go to Clark, got accepted to Morris Brown. It was like, maybe
we would have met up in Morris Brown. I got accepted there too. It's crazy.
Look, I tell you all the time, you met me at the proper time in life.